Is your energy getting zapped? Maybe you're feeling all interpolated from the world at large, maybe in your relationships or something going on in your personal life or family life, or maybe even politics or really the insane things going on across the world. Well, if you're somebody who's ready to really master your energy, you definitely want to listen or watch to this podcast. Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Hi there, I'm Dr. Erin, Dr. Divinity and Master Spiritual Coach, founder of Spiritual Psychology School and Soulciété community. And I am just thrilled we're going through a series on E4 method. I'm really excited to be diving deep into this as I am writing the book behind the scenes as well. E4 method is something that has been incredible for the school, for the clients, and has huge testimonials and results. We've begun to do research studies as well, and just a really exciting time for all of us in the spiritual world. So in this podcast right here, I'm going to dive deep into energy mastery. And, we've gone over a lot of things already in this series. We went through my personal journey of my spiritual awakening and understanding that we make negative commands and they go on the epigenetics and in the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind is one with the superconscious mind universal law and how it plays out on automation in our life. And how do we actually reprogram our system? How do we deprogram? How do we reprogram? How do we actually really heal the past, empower the present, and manifest our future highest self? What are the 4 steps of E4 method, and how do we actually transmute and transcend the energetics to become empowered, to really truly reach enlightenment, and to know that we're the creator of our life? So we've been diving deep into E4 method, current life regressions, past life regressions, going into empowering the present through emotional mastery, and today we're going to do energy mastery, and then we're going to go into manifesting your future higher self through E4 quantum manifesting. And of course, having a daily spiritual practice. So I want to share a little bit about my personal story of energy mastery. One of my biggest things is I would get so upset in my relationships. As most of you guys know, I was very codependent. I came from codependent parents, and there was a lot of highs and lows in my relationship. And I really, truly was trying to fix, change, and control everyone in my life, wishing they were different than they were, right? And so there's the gap of suffering, wanting people, places, and things to be different than they are. And really, that's the gap of suffering. So as we get into the emotional mastery, which we did in the last podcast, this one, I want to talk about really taking responsibility for your energy. Energetic mastery comes down to understanding our sovereignty, okay? Our sovereignty means where have I placed my power out into the external world versus where do I come into the truth, knowing that I'm the creator of my life, how I relate to people, how I relate to circumstances, how I relate to it, and what I choose to create out of that is my sovereign nature. And so for most people, they react to life. They're looking at the world or politics or the financial situation. And there's been so much that has happened recently that has really shaken a lot of people up in our culture. But really, if we take a look at it, it is a psyop where the forces may be, no matter which side of the political party, no matter where you are, there's always this polarity. And as you go more into your human beingness, you're going to become the effect of the polarity of the world and reacting instead of coming into the unity and the oneness and asking, how can I be the difference in the world? How can I take inspired action instead of constantly being turbulated and the effect of what's happening in the 3D realm? So what we do through the E4 method and helping people get really clear and empowered in their life is we help them create what's called a life's manual. So what does that mean exactly? No one ever tells us that there is a relative truth, and what works for you is different than what works for another person. So, and oftentimes you'll hear in the industry people placing boundaries, which is great. But from an energy perspective, it's not about placing boundaries for anyone else. It's actually creating boundaries for yourself, for you to take responsibility for your own energetics. So when we begin to help our coaches help their clients create their life's manual, basically we begin to identify what are the core values. And a lot of this will come out of the deeper regression work of having people understand what they care about, what they got upset about. And that is actually the same with energy mastery. All energy, excuse me, all emotions are helping people understand what is their truth. So when we do this work, then we want to constantly be taking notes for ourselves and for our clients to understand these are my core values. Okay. What works for somebody in a relationship is going to be different for the next person, right? Standards of what they are in alignment, hopefully, are in alignment with who you're choosing to be around. And so for me, I know that even once I began to coach and lead and have clients, I would get pushed around in so many ways. And I would want to make somebody wrong or they want to make me wrong. And this is the tit for tat. This is the upset. This is why people get divorces, right? They're not in alignment in their core values, or they're placing power and making the other person wrong. This is the core thing. So we really have to get clear of, if you want to be empowered in your life, you really, really have to get clear of what your core values are, what your standards, what your policy, and what your procedures are. Obviously, we can't go fully into this, but we take a look at every area of our lives, or we have our clients take a look at every area of their lives, and we take a look at, look, what's the ideal scene? What are your must-haves and kind of your pars, and what are your deal breakers? And it's not about, putting people into those categories. It's about learning who you are so that you can place yourself in environments that where you thrive, that are more in line with your peace and your power and into your ideal scene, instead of constantly putting yourself in environments where there's deal breakers and where you're constantly getting upset. Okay, so this is a process, but I'll just ask you this one question. Okay, think about one area of your life. And all of life is a relationship. So it may be, hey, with your mom, or it might be, hey, with my career, or whatever it may be. Think of one area of your life. Okay. And now what you want to do is you want to think about, where do you get super upset in those areas? And what occurs that's considered deal breakers, meaning where you get really upset, you're getting reactive, and you're just not able to really hold your good energy. Okay. So then you want to write down kind of, what are your pars, right? So for me, for example, when I took a look at relationship, whether it be friends, whether it be whatever, is people need to be their word, right? It doesn't work for me. I don't thrive in environments where people say one thing and they do another thing. Those are more like deal breakers, right? Areas where people are their word, they're up to something constructive in their life, right? They have a spiritually based or a soul based, practice, right? Things are like, that's like par. Those are like, I'm in my peace when I'm around those people, okay? And then ideal scene might be, hey, I'm actually co-creating with some of my friends, right? They're leaders also, right? They inspire me. This is my ideal scene, right? So you have to start really getting clear of what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and really understanding yourself so that you can fully be in your power. And the other thing that we do that is imperative for people to master their energy is they have to be able to move energy in the body and understand that you have many, many bodies. You have light bodies, you have magnetism, you have so many things are going on. So you need to at least be able to move the energy within your nervous system and be able to regulate it, right? Those are like the basics of basics. Tapping into source is a completely different thing that we're going to get into of manifesting your future. Okay. But really, truly, right now, we want to take a look at, how do we get in peace, right? We get turbulated. We turn on the news, we open the social media, and all of a sudden our algorithms have all the darkest of dark, because that's what's going to have us swiping like little rats on a treadmill that are going to feed into the polarity and have us stay on those apps. Okay. So we want to actually begin to recognize that we are the directors of energy, right? So one of the primary things we do is we have an E4 HRV theta audio that we use a lot to help our clients get into, of course, more and more of a theta brain state. Also having HRV, which is connecting the heart and the head and getting those in coherence. And then being able to do this, we do it for about 11 minutes, breathing in and out. And it's really breathing in fully and exhaling out fully. And what we're doing is, when we're breathing in, we're expanding the lungs and the diaphragm and the ribs, and really expanding it really resets the nervous system, and fully exhaling out. And when you do this in rhythm, there's an organization called HeartMath that has done a lot of research in this. And when you do the coherence, it resets everything and you really get into that peaceful state. So we use this, so whether our practitioners want to get into a deeper meditation, they can do this for 11 minutes and then go into the 0 point field and begin to have downloads and really, go to their higher self, right? Or we use this a lot for when we're doing E4 regressions for our clients to get more into a theta state, for them to open up the subconscious mind and have it be much more impressionable, okay? So this is another thing you really want to learn how to, as a lot of people say, regulate the nervous system, which is true, but without dealing with those deep, deep core traumas, it's going to keep, reacting to the world out there. So instead of constantly having to regulate your nervous system, we want to do that deep, deep, bigger regression work so that when we do come and do this breath work and do E4 HRV and theta meditation, we want to be able to actually do it with ease and get in there. Okay. So just taking a few deep breaths in, just recognizing right here, right now, that we do many other things like breath work or grounding work where we have our feet, barefoot on Mother Earth, prayer, meditation, sleeping good, diet, exercise, all those things are imperative. But what's imperative is for you to live your truth. And so I recognize the universal law of this week, which is the law of intention. You are an all-powerful creative being. Your spirit, you are the I am. You are one with the entire force and source that created the entire universe. And what I know for sure is intention is everything, because the consciousness backing all energy is the true self, and that begins with intention. Where are you directing the energy? And what you energize will expand, and what you don't focus on will diminish. And so if every day we're focusing on what's wrong in the world and pointing the finger and playing into the polarity and getting into all those negative energetics, we're going to hurt our system. We're going to program the subconscious mind in division. And so I recognize right here, taking a deep breath in, recognizing through affirmative mind treatment the power of intention. I recognize the true self, the true consciousness, spirit, source, the I am, the highest self. I recognize the power of intention. And I recognize that wherever I place my focus, it expands. Wherever I do not focus on, it diminishes. That there is only creation, and there's creation, and there is maintaining, and there is destruction. And that is one creation. It is all one thing because there's only create in the universe. I recognize right here, and I hold the one world in my heart. I recognize the division on this planet. And I know the perfection of that as well for this relative experience and for the evolution, because I know that the birthing pains that come out of the terrible things happen that we see across all the media is really the energizing of people wanting attention to manipulate energy. And I say only yes to source, only yes to what I choose to create and what I choose to embody. May my life be a prayer. May I become that which I seek to experience in this world. And may I hold the one consciousness, unity consciousness, and love for my one soul family. I simply know this in the name of truth, as together we say, and so it is. And so it is. Okay, if you have not already binged all the other E4 series, you can go back and listen to all those. They're just 11 to 22 minutes and really understanding the deep, deep, deep work that will absolutely transform your life. Okay, you guys, and also if you haven't already, you can grab the free Universal Law calendar below, and you can follow with us every week as I teach Universal Law and all kinds of things across the podcast as well. And if you are ready to have more support, you're welcome to come into Soulciété. We have officially opened the membership. Become a founding member now while the prices are low. And if you're somebody who's ready to get certified in E4 method, along with spiritual psychology practitioner coaching, all the deep, deep work, and learn how to turn it into a career, you are welcome to come into the SPPC program as well. Okay, you guys have a beautiful, blessed day. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this out. You can do it with your friends and really help everyone get into right mind and begin to energize what they do want to intentionally energize. Okay, have a beautiful, blessed day, and may you live your truth.